we got something like 300 homes to certify their backyards.
Every one of those that goes online is a success story.
Attendance at the farmers market was up 41% in the last year. That's huge.
That was influential, actually, that we were able to publish that data and get the city to stop and reconsider.
That presented me with an opportunity to make some costumes that were in an actual play.
They offer you a way to create a nonprofit.
The Center for Sustainable Living is an umbrella organization. It's a 501c3, which means it's a nonprofit organization.
Its mission is to promote sustainable living, to educate the public about ways that they can live more sustainably.
The Center for Sustainable Living makes it possible for other smaller organizations to achieve nonprofit status.
I was actually motivated by this through my interest in sustainability. I'd been interested in the idea of sustainability for a long time. And we started with small meetings in my house. There were actually meetings right here. And people would come here and talk about issues and say, well, how do we have to proceed? What do we have to do next? And I think we spent a good 2 years really mulling this question over. But when we finally became public, as I said, the first project to come forward was the Community Bicycle Project. And then it just took off.
It's nice seeing people come in, like a lot of especially individuals who aren't regular students or going for volunteer hours. Because it's just like, oh, I had this bike laying around and now I'm going to get it fixed. And they get to like learn a little bit along the way.
I first heard about Bloomington Transportation Options for People, or BTOP, probably 5-6 years ago. It was just starting up at the time, and Buff Brown, who was the founder, called a bunch of people together and shared the kinds of things that he was working on. We were such a small group that it made sense to us to come under a broader umbrella organization.
Local First Indiana came about when a friend of mine and I decided we wanted to start this organization, sort of a buy local alliance, create a support network for local independent businesses. And we were looking for a nonprofit that we could partner with that would allow us to get nonprofit status. We had a little list, and the Center for Sustainable Living was on there, and they were one of the first people we talked to, and we thought this was a perfect fit. They're a really great group of ladies. They understood immediately what we were talking about. They probably knew more about it than we did at the time.
Discardia began primarily by Jean and I coming together and having a similar love for refashioning and making things out of trash, whether it be clothing or sculptures or art, what have you. So we decided to assemble a group of other people who were into the idea of creating a space that would function as a retail store for locally made items from only recycled or reused materials. And also the space would function as a community sewing lab where the community could come and sew things out of recycled materials, take workshop classes, and collaborate with other community members.
Then in 2008, my friends Alec Jarvis and Danielle Dan and I started discussing the possibility of starting an energy group. And we realized that there was a lot of formalities that were required that we weren't particularly interested in following through on. But then we recognized, well, the possibility seemed very real that we might become a project under the CSL who provides that status for all of the projects.
We're member run, and we think that's important because we want to do what the members want.
The funding for the Center for Sustainable Living, I know, comes from a lot of different places and fundraisers. I know that the Trash and Refashion show was able to provide a decent amount of funding last year with the proceeds.
People who come to us and who are interested in what we do are willing to support us. So we have about 150 members, and they can pay whatever they feel that they can afford. We don't really need a lot of money to run. None of our volunteers are paid. Every single one of our projects are run by volunteers.
Being a volunteer of the CSL involves a lot of collaboration with other project members, and because everything has the goal of sustainability in mind, so we all can generally help each other in our different areas.
A lot of volunteers here are through Earn a Bike, where they'll do 3 hours of volunteer service and then they'll get to make their own bike.
When I ride my bike through town now, I see people and see businesses that I feel a personal connection to because I'm working with them.
Well, I think everybody feels good when they volunteer. I think it's a feel-good situation, and if it's from something that you really feel passionate about, it makes you feel doubly good.
It can really enrich a person's life to have a sense of community and a sense of importance.
If you feel strongly about something, and a lot of people in this community do, they offer you a way to create a nonprofit.
They're like a piece of a puzzle. The puzzle itself is sustainability, and each one of these little portions is a little piece of that puzzle. Certifying Bloomington as a certified wildlife habitat was really a wonderful time for me, because what happened, we started working on this in 2001, I think it was. And it took us to 2008 to get sufficient numbers of gardens.
So we have helped people build solar energy systems and solar water heating systems. Every one of those that goes online is a success story.
The CSL's involvement with the Bloomington Playwrights Project for their Aware Fest, and Discardia was able to make 2 trash-in costumes to be featured in one of the plays that the BPP put on.
Attendance at the farmers market was up 41% in the last year. That's huge, you know. We're not the only ones talking about shopping locally.
They're reusing bike parts. I mean, we're not throwing things out and getting new things and adding to a stockpile. It's like the entire principle of reusing things.
All of these things actually show people what sustainability is. So it's a very comprehensive, very holistic look at how we can sustain ourselves into the future.
Bloomington has a reputation as being a progressive community, a forward-looking community, and deservedly so in many ways. However, studying the issue of energy consumption per capita and per business within our community, a different reality emerges. We as Hoosiers and as Bloomingtonians or Monroe County residents are uniquely identified as extreme users of energy. We are per capita heaviest energy consumers in the world.
So we're in the danger zone, and that's climbing every day, every year. And so far there's been really no significant action on the national or international level to deal with that.
In the long term, it's the only future that we have. Without a sustainable future, we don't have a future.
If people prioritize other things over the planet and the environment that supports our life, that's really what we're doing. We're sawing off the branch in order to save the nest that's sitting on the branch. It doesn't make a lot of sense.
And what the Center for Sustainable Living would like to have everybody live as though there was only one Earth, because there really is only one.